It's Bant versus Jund. What year is it? Are we in? Is this Shards of Alara standard? What's happening?
There are no Rock Swarmonks, though.
No Bloodbraid Elves either. But so both of these players are X1, so they both have a loss right now, but still doing pretty well in the tournament. And Matthew Bond leads with a Flourish and a Plains, a foil Plains. The SCG Fairy sleeves there. Evolving Wilds from Matthew.
Forest Island. Who knows what it could be? Anything. Meanwhile, just on the table, if I was Matthew Bond, unless I had seen Rylund Lewis play, I would definitely be wondering what the heck's going on.
Yeah, because now you see the Jund colors, and you're like, there's not many decks that play Jund colors. I mean, well...
Jund Ramp. But this is not exactly that list. This is not a Primeval Titan list.
So a Blade Splicer from Matthew. Brings with it a Golem. I think we've seen Blade Splicer in pretty much every game. Not just every match, I think every game. Sometimes on both sides of the table. I could be wrong.
That is actually funny. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have seen Blade Splicer in 8 out of 9 matches so far today.
Wow.
8 out of 9 is crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Popular card. More Blade Splicers than Delvers. And there's a Pristine Talisman from Rylund Lewis. I think the cat may be coming out of the bag here. He played Phyrexia's Core and now Pristine Talisman. So Matthew may start to feel like, all right, something's going on with artifacts here.
Yeah, I mean, when you see that, that is a pretty big tell.
Yeah. So.
And Rylund says, let's gain 1 life.
Yeah, so he's going to take 4, gain 1, go to 17 here. Plays an Unhinged Swamp. And a Black Sun Zenith.
Take that.
For 3,
oh, no.
Gets Mana Leaked.
Mana Leak.
And, you know, I'd kind of already forgotten that there was blue available in Matthew's deck. I wonder if Rylund did too. I mean, there's just the one island there, but it looks like a green-white deck when you kind of glance over. You see all these Sun Petal Groves and a Blade Splicer, now a Thrag Tusk. It looks like green-white aggro, except that there's an island kind of hiding there. Surprise, Mana Leak. All right, so Rylund takes another hit from the Splicer and the Golem.
One of the things I like about this, we were talking before about how the previous deck was running Wormcoil, the previous Trading Post deck. Wormcoil, Trading Post,
Batterskull, Vampire Nighthawk.
Yeah, Pristine Talisman. This has almost all of those elements, but it does not have Batterskull, but it has Thrag Tusk.
So Rylund just plays a second Pristine Talisman, then Phyrexian Metamorph, copying Thrag Tusk. So we're getting a whole lot of beasts happening on the table now.
One of the things I've been discovering, a whole ton of decks that I have that are Pristine Talisman decks, which is basically red control and black control decks. I've gotten to the point where I'm 4 Phyrexian Metamorphs in all of them. It's just it's a moment where it does so much work. You know, you're like, Thrag Tusk is so problematic. What if I have my own?
Yeah, not as big of a problem. Yeah, we're losing so much. I mean, I'm so excited about rotation, but at the same time, I'm also like, man, we lose things like Pristine Talisman.
Oh,
and we
I'm going to miss Pristine Talisman. I love Talisman.
And Phantasmal Image, another card that I think I really love. But
yeah, I've been kind of in love with Talisman since it was printed.
Same here. So a Ponder from Matthew.
Reminding us that he is indeed a blue deck.
Yeah, reminding us and Rylund that he's a blue deck.
He has a whole bunch of blue spells. He does have Ponder, Mana Leak, and Vapor Snag, not to mention Snapcaster Mage. It's
and
just
Moorland Haunt in play to make use of the blue mana. And so Rylund's turn here, untaps with 6 mana available, And here comes a trading post.
Ouch.
Gains some life off 2 pristine talismans. Goes up to 18. And Nile Spellbomb. I was hoping he was going to cast Blightning this turn, but
I like how Nile Spellbomb and Trading Post work together. It's kind of nice. Sacrifice to draw a card, then trigger to draw a card.
yeah.
Now, meanwhile, Matthew Bond, end of turn. Restoration Angels his Thragtusk to get a free beast and 5 extra life.
That interaction is just disgusting. Restoration Angel and Thragtusk.
In come everybody that's not splicing. Thragtusk fights against Robot Thragtusk.
Yeah.
Or I should say Mecha Thragtusk.
Yeah, it's like Robotusk or something. And Rylund gets a beast out of the exchange, as does Matthew. Various different beast tokens.
It's funny, Rylund takes out a beast for himself, doesn't let Matt get one, and then
Yeah.
has to get it himself. This is war here.
Yeah, I'm not getting a beast for you.
And is he sacrificing the beast to get a, yep. What does that do?
Yeah. Wait, what? So I'm going to sacrifice my beast to get a Metamorph back. Yep.
What's he gonna metamorph? I think he will metamorph the Blade Splicer.
Oh, Bonfire Miracle off the top!
Oh,
Now, does he play
all
around a
in?
mana leak here? Does he?
All in, just do it. Yeah, that's it. No fear.
Yeah, the hesitation from Matthew makes me feel like there's no counterspell.
No fear. 5 to all of your things, I'll gain 2 life. If you've got a counterspell, I'm dead. I guess you don't.
Yeah, so nice bonfire there. Clears the board.
It's a miracle.
The funny thing is, Matthew Bond ends, at the end of that exchange, he has no creatures, but he also just at 25. I mean, it's as if Rylund played Day of Judgment. Like just no creatures on board, and,
Here's an angel, ready to keep things going.
trying to restore Matthew's board position.
The angel is practically dead already because of 2 talismans in play.
Yeah, it's basically doing 1 a turn.
Yeah. This is one of the secret things people don't realize about talismans. It's almost like it's removal. Gain 2.
Yeah, go up to 10. I want an
one of
angel.
those. It's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
So it looks like he gained 2 and paid 2.
Yep.
For the Metamorph, so remains at 8 life. A nice free way to use the Phyrexian mana.
Oh, Mimic Vat. Ouch. Let's respond, he says. Let's kill this angel.
Yeah, Galvanic Blast on Restoration Angel in response to the Mimic Vat. And Matthew Bond with an empty board. Besides the Mimic Vat.
Spends 2 mana. White, a colorless, sacrifice. Ooh, do you want to sacrifice the Metamorph? Hang on a second, buddy. Matthew Bond is correct. That Mimic Vat can take that.
Yeah, I don't know if this was still in response to the Mimic Vat. Like, I didn't have any indication that it was, but maybe it was.
I think he might not be saying this is still response, but I don't know.
Yeah, like,
That
because there
seems-
was no other game action happened here. The Mimic Vat, is sitting on the table. It's not clear when it moves from the stack to the actual board.
Let's take that graveyard out of here.
Yeah. So, in a sense, he could have just responded, like, if there was an issue there, he says, okay, so Mimic Vat triggers, well, then I'll just Nihil Spellbomb.
Yeah.
So, resulting in the same thing. Now, Matthew, though, responds to the Spellbomb by activating his Moorland Haunt and getting a Spirit out of it. And then passes the turn to Rylund. So, in the end, Mimic Vat, nothing on it just now. Rylund,
Lots of mana.
tapping everything. 7 mana for a Karn.
I love you, Karn.
Karn is liberated. And, so what are we going to do with Karn here?
He goes to the hand.
Yeah.
Take that, hand.
We have seen the biggest of Planeswalkers today.
Karn a 1-of in this deck.
Karn takes a Snapcaster from Matthew. I guess that Snapcaster lost a lot of value and that Nihil Spellbomb popped off, so.
Attacking Karn.
All right.
Such a hard thing to do when you're like, I'm attacking a Planeswalker. You're almost dead.
It's not even a Planeswalker on like 1 or 2 loyalty. It's a Planeswalker on like 10 loyalty.
Look at this. Rylund Lewis still has 4 cards in hand. Trading Post in play means he can easily make that more. Now look at this. A whole big explosion from Matthew Bond.
He goes Blade Splicer, gets a Golem, plays Phantasmal Image, copying Blade Splicer to get a second Golem. Matthew just trying to clog up the board here so he can do some damage to that Karn and Rylund. Theoretically, he's just going to go for Rylund. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised he went for Karn with the Spirit, because Rylund's at 8. You may as well try to get every damage in. I mean, are you thinking he's going to ultimate Karn to end the game with a Snapcaster? I mean, to start the game over with a Snapcaster in play, is that even as big an advantage as he has on board now?
Oh, dueling Mimic Vats.
Dueling Mimic Vats. Are you tweeting this? Because I mean, I went like dueling Mimic Vats live right now on SCGLive. Holy moly! There's a Black Sun Zenith from Rylund Lewis. Rylund is seems to have all the answers. What is this? How much is this? Is it for 3 or for 3? Yeah, clears the board, and Mimic Vats are going to trigger. So they
Nap. Active player, not active player.
Right.
That's
So
the order.
Rylund being the active player. So
That means Matthew Bond is going to be able to have his Mimic Vat resolve first.
right. But there were. So one of them is going to get a Phantasmal Image, and the other is going to get a Blade Splicer?
Well, it depends, actually. They have to put their targets in that order. So Rylund will put his target on the stack, then Matthew Bond will put his target on the stack, and then Matthew's will resolve, then Rylund's will resolve.
So basically Matthew just chooses what Rylund chooses, and Rylund doesn't get anything.
Yeah, unless Rylund chooses something crappy, and then Matthew might choose something else, and they both get something.
Now tokens
Will not trigger on the Mimic Vat.
Not trigger Mimic Vat, yeah. So it's only the Blade Splicer and the Phantasmal Image, right? There weren't any other non-token creatures on board.
Correct. And we see what is chosen here, Matthew Bond with the Phantasmal Image. Interesting choice. So actually, here's the fun thing. Since this triggers with every death, what he can do is he can stop. It's not just once that everything dies that you choose one. Every death triggers it. So let's say that Rylund targets. If Matthew then targets, what that will mean is that the first one will get kicked out by the second one, but then Rylund won't get anything because it's not the quote-unquote same creature.
Right.
And we see an Oblivion Ring for Karn. Wow. What an amazing draw for Matthew Bond there.
Matthew getting back into this game. I mean, he does have Rylund down to 8 life.
Rylund is actually in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, exactly. He now has a threat in the form of a Blade Splicer that's going to leave golems in its wake.
1, 2, 3. I think this is going to be a Spine of Ishsa. I am wrong. It is a Wormcoil engine. And he's not sure if he wants to put it into play.
Yeah.
I think there might be a question about life total as well.
Yeah, I mean, when he cast Karn, I thought he should have gone up to 10. I stopped paying attention because I was paying attention to the board state, not the life total, but yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because he's been using those every turn. I don't know if he's been changing his life total every turn, but if he has, then 14 makes sense.
And now what Rylund is doing is he is sacrificing on Matthew's turn the Wormcoil engine. And here we have again, active player, not active player. Matthew is going to be the active player this time. Rylund, the not active player, which is going to mean that he is going to be the one with Wormcoil engine underneath Mimic Vat.
Right, exactly. And he gets the tokens there. Wow. So I thought it was fancy to have a Blade Splicer on the Mimic Vat because it leaves 3 3s behind. Wolf Wormcoil Engine's like, oh, you want to see something leave 3 3s behind off a Mimic Vat? I can do better.
Let's rock this. Here you go.
Wow. And Mimic Vat brings a Wormcoil into play for Rylund Lewis. Swings with it. Now this is a token of Wormcoil Engine, by the way, so it's not going to trigger a Mimic Vat when it dies. They're representing the token with the actual card, but that is a token. And we have a Wellspring from Rylund of the Mycosynth variety. Gonna find him a land. Alright, so Mimic Vat on Matthew's side puts a Blade Splicer token into play, putting a Golem into play. Shouldn't Rylund have
I don't
two
think
more?
that actually is what happens. I need to check Mimic Vat real quick just to make sure.
The Wormcoil token's exiled. It's not destroyed. Okay,
That's what I believe.
Okay. Thank you, Skinless Man on Twitter. Yeah.
Yep, that's correct. Exile-y. The thing is it's exiled at end of turn. If for some other reason it dies before that, like let's say a trading post,
It does leave the
Yeah.
guys, yeah. I'm actually surprised that Rylund didn't make use of that.
he
You know what
might
I
not
mean?
have thought about it. Oh, he gets a Metamorph. This is the really sick portion of the game, where you start going post with things like Wormcoils. It's just...
And he draws another trading post. Alright, Rylund taps his Pristine Talismans first. I like it.
Now look at this. He's up to 25 life now.
Yeah, down from he was down to 8 at one point. Mimic Vat pops out a Wormcoil Engine. Wormcoil Engine attacks. And now he's going to go ahead and use that trading post, I believe. Or is he sacrificing it with Phyrexia's Core? Phyrexia's
With
Core, never
Core.
mind. I expected him to use post, but he's got multiple options. So this is game 1, and what's the time on the match? 'Cause it seems to be
19 minutes have expired. Or
Right,
actually, we don't have the time.
The timer's frozen, so we'll get that fixed.
We have after at end of turn, Matthew Bond creates a Blade Splicer. The Splicer copy will go away at the end of this turn now, but the golem will stick around.
Right, which is what happened last turn, and then Rylund traded off one of his 3/3s for that 3/3. So cleared Matthew's side of the board, but Rylund with the clear advantage here, life-wise and board-wise. Matthew, though, able to at least keep it from happening too fast, like from getting out of hand really fast. Because it seems to me like, you know, he's putting up a fight with the Mimic Vat and the Blade Splicers. I wonder what's in Matthew's hand. Rylund plays a mountain. Makes a worm coil engine. I mean, this is just like, yeah.
6 mana. What do you got? 3 mana. I mean.
Okay, so he's using the Mimic Vat.
Yep.
He's just trying to put the brakes on here. And I don't think he's coming to a complete stop. He may be putting on the brakes, but he's not coming to a complete stop. He's only able to chump block the worm coil, trade off a golem for a
I see a wolf run here.
worm.
For the kill, I think.
So
Boom.
was that I only had Mana Leak in hand to do anything? So, wow.
Wow, that was a long and involved game.
So it was Jund versus Mythic Bant there that we just saw. I'm confused. What?
That was game 1 of Jund versus Bant midrange here, with Jund taking up the first game. To the sideboard, how many anti-artifact things can we see from Matthew Bond? That's the question I have. The answer, 2 Naturalize.
So people on Twitter are pointing out that Matthew actually was losing the golems at the end of turn rather than keeping them. I thought that he had traded them off for the Death Touch.
No, but
worm,
first strike.
but...
First strike should have been in play there. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I'm talking about it during, like, yeah, there was so much going on.
Yeah, I sent a note trying to get that through to our director about that. But the thing is going from there then to the judges, things happen so quickly you can't really go back unless it's caught right in that moment. So
right. See, I thought he was going, all right, Blade Splicer puts a golem into play.
Yeah.
End of turn, Blade Splicer goes away, golem stays.
Yeah.
Trades with
golem
worm. That's where
staying.
I thought the golem was not first strike anymore because there was no Blade Splicer.
Well, I mean, it's not first strike anymore, but the damage is already done. It's it's no longer in combat. Combat's done. You know what I mean? It doesn't suddenly take the damage after the fact.
I think we're talking about different things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm referring to Blade Splicer coming into play, makes the golem. The golem gets into combat, kills something, but it is not injured. The end of the turn happens, the Blade Splicer goes away, but the golem sticks around.
Okay. No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're on the same page, but there was definitely some confusion there. I was assuming that the reason that that there weren't more golems on Matthew's side was that he was trading them for the worms.
I thought we were seeing that too. That was my question that I had sent out. Was I thought he had attacked in? Yeah. So apparently we were getting some mass blocks from Rylund Lewis. So some of these mass blocks were what was happening to those golems.
Right, I thought those golems were chump blocking. That's what I thought. Or trading.
Yeah, like what was actually happening apparently was Matthew was attacking with the golem at one point. When he did the end of turn make the thing, he attacked in. Rylund blocks with some stuff. At least this is what I'm being told. So.
Oh well, I don't know that. I don't know that Matthew could have gotten back into that game, even with the tokens. Rylund was putting his life total so far out of reach, and I don't know that Matthew had any way to deal with things. It was very gummed up there, but hopefully that the players have been alerted to or they're aware of how that works. So going to sideboard here, you mentioned, were you looking at Rylund's, or you were looking at Matthew's list? Is that right? You were talking about the
Matthew's sideboard. He has 2 naturalize to directly fight against the artifacts that are so dangerous. But other than that, he basically has to rely on other things, like a negate stopping something from happening to begin with.
Ratchet bombs can be very helpful.
Ratchet bombs to help out a little bit.
A lot of tokens were happening there. Terminus. Yeah, I could see him bringing that in.
Yeah, Terminus is absolutely a reasonable choice. One of the reasons being he's playing against a deck with Wormcoil Engine, and Terminus
will not leave the tokens behind.
Yeah.
Right? So he's got some options here. He's not completely defenseless on Rylund's side. Rylund has access to some Vampire Nighthawk action, as we saw in the mono black or black market version of Trading Post. Also got 4 Bonfire of the Damned. He's got Ratchet Bombs of his own. He's also got some Combust, just a pair for Restoration Angels. He's got 1 Mindslaver. I would love to see that. The Mindslaver lock with Trading Post.
I mean, even without the lock part, just to slaver
just to
them.
see a Mindslaver, yeah, I would love to see that.
Please meet your judge over on the side of this area. Once again, players in $10 draft number 4. Please meet your judge over in the side of this area. He will get you drafted.
Got a pair of Spell Skites that may be there to protect those artifacts as well, but we'll see what happens here.
It's a loud venue here with 322 players, 9 rounds of Swiss. We are here at the Crown Plaza Denver International Airport Convention Center.
That is a long name.
It is. Try getting someone to deliver here.
Yeah. We had trouble getting the shuttle from this hotel. I kept calling Crown, like their hotline, and
yeah, I had problems with that too.
Yeah, that was. She told me the shuttle just runs every 15 minutes. So Glenn and I were just standing around. Like 25 minutes go by, and we're like, "Where's this shuttle?" So we call again. We get the direct number to this hotel, and she's like, "Oh, you need us to send the shuttle? Okay, we'll send it." Oh, that's good. Thanks for. Glad the last person told us that it just continuously runs. But anyway, Rylund Lewis with a Black Cleave Cliffs to Matthew Bond's Island and Glacial Fortress. Swamp from Rylund and an Ichor Wellspring. First spell of the game.
Wellspring is actually really solid in matchups where you have time to use it. I don't know how much that exists in Standard right now, but...
And a Blades Placer from Matthew. And a Ratchet Bomb from Rylund. Now that's dangerous against Matthew, especially alongside Trading Post, because he can just pop the bomb.
Yep.
And then just get it back with Trading Post over and over again. Blades Placer not so scary as a 3-mana 1/1.
Yeah, Rylund's sideboard with these Ratchet Bombs, those aren't main, those are from the sideboard.
Alright, so Rylund declines to use the bomb just yet. Takes 3 from the Golem. Does Galvanic Blast the Blades Placer, however. Matthew pondering here. Whoops. And the Gavany Township passes back to Rylund. Rylund draws, not a miracle. Plays a mountain. And I know that those of you guys who caught the earlier match with the Shape Anew deck, it is being deck teched as we speak. That will be available later on StarCityGames.com.
Interesting note on that Shape Anew deck. Apparently, it is 10-0 so far in games.
So no losses.
That's
at
okay,
all.
I guess.
Yeah. Seems reasonable. What's that card do? So second Wellspring for Rylund. And pass it back to Matthew. Matthew attacks, swings back. Oh, I'm sorry, pass it back. Rylund now with a Thragtusk. And Matthew really having trouble finding a way to get any sort of pressure on the board.
Well, one of the things about a deck like what Matthew is running, it is not a pure beatdown deck at all. It's got some aggressive draws, but he gives Rylund time. And that time, Rylund will translate into Thragtusk, Wormcoil Engine, Trading Post.
Yeah, so another thing that's interesting here, I believe what happened is Matthew just wanted to activate Gavany Township, but doesn't have access to green mana. So he attempted to activate the Gavany Township. Rylund points out, you don't have access to green. Whoops, you're right, I don't have access to green.
What does that do?
So,
okay, let's
and
do
there's
a block and a trade.
Patrick Chapin walking by here. And Thragtusk. Number 2 from Rylund Lewis.
Patrick Chapin and his lovely fiancée Amanda here. They're gracing us with their presence.
Just visiting, I suppose. Here.
For those of you who don't know, Patrick Chapin is working for a game company in town, developing something that could be the next big thing. We'll have to find out.
The next level thing?
The next level thing.
Yeah. So a Blades Blazer for Matthew Bond, and passes back Rylund now, Cavern of Souls. And Rylund in with the Thragtusk and the Beast. Golem blocks Thragtusk, and Rylund in response cracks that Ratchet Bomb. Gets rid of the Golem, saves the Thragtusk, kills his own Beast though. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. You save the Thragtusk, right?
I see a Restoration Angel in Matthew Bond's hand. In for 1. The beats.
The Blade Splicer beats, yeah.
For those of you who are just joining us, this is round 5 of 9 here at the Star City Games Live Open Series in Denver, Colorado. We are 1 mile above sea level.
And apparently up here, everybody feels lightheaded enough to play these rogue decks. It's just like everybody's loopy, but I'm loving it.
I'm loving it too.
I'm just lightheaded. I don't know.
Wormcoil.
So, Wormcoil Engine for Rylund Lewis.
In comes Thragtusk, and we're going to see a Blade Splicer make a Golem. Golem says, no, you're going to get naturalized. Thragtusk is still here to stay. Do you want to trade your Angel for it? He's like, no, I'll just take the 5.
Yeah, wow. So, heck of a play there. Restoration Angel sort of negated, the effect of Restoration Angel negated there.
O-Ring on the Wormcoil.
That's one way to deal with it.
I would feel a little scared, though, seeing a Naturalize from Rylund Lewis. O-Ring just is so fragile against a card like Naturalize.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what he does not know, that is the only Naturalize Rylund Lewis has in his 75.
But you know what, the interesting thing is that Matthew's now probably going to play around it.
Oh, yes.
He's going to be worried about it. He's going to have to play with that in mind.
Absolutely. There is actually value in one-ofs just from having more actual space in your deck in terms of your quote-unquote design space, if you want to think of decks as being designed, and yet still having that effect in there. Obviously, you lose some consistency, though.
So there's a bonfire, I believe, off the top.
That is a miraculous bonfire for 3. Or for 4?
Okay, 4.
For 4.
Yep. Bonfire for 4.
I missed that mountain hanging out way up front.
Are these life totals correct? I mean, it seemed okay. There we go. I was gonna say Matthew should not still be at 20.
Well, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda. What do we got? We got Sun Titan.
All right, here's a haymaker. Bring back the Blade Splicer. Blade Splicer gets a golem, and Matthew.
Rylund did not seem very worried about it.
No, he's just like whatever.
What's he gonna do?
He must
Tap
have
some
some
mana. Oh, maybe he was just like, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Because that's not the response of someone who has the answer.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's I mean, he's digging here, I guess.
4 mana, Solemn Simulacrum. I don't know how I feel about all of these non-Jens Thorin, or Jens Thorin, however you pronounce it, Solemns.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the original artwork myself.
Dear Jeremy Jarvis, as art director for Wizards of the Coast, I would like to see invitational cards always have the invitational winner as a part of the art. Sincerely, Adrian Sullivan.
Here, now sign this. I typed it up while you were
Now,
dictating.
Jeremy Jarvis, the art director from Wizards of the Coast, one of the most awesome people you'll ever meet.
I have yet to meet him. I really would like to meet him.
Yeah.
But he's kind of on the other side of the country from where I live.
Yeah.
And
He once got into a brawl at a movie theater. True story.
that is the kind of guy you want in your art. That's the kind of fire you want in an art director. This movie's awful. It's awesome. I'm gonna beat you up for it for saying that.
The full version of that story, in with Sun Titan, in with the Golem, the full version of that story is, in essence, someone was talking some smack, he said be quiet, and after the movie was over, the guy found him and attacked him.
Oh, okay.
So it
Much
wasn't
more,
like
yeah,
it wasn't like he was some sort of raucous guy that was like, let's bring it.
So Sun Titan being double blocked by Thragtusk and Solemn Simulacrum. Meanwhile, that Sun Titan did bring back a second Blade Splicer along with it a second
look
Golem.
at that. A naturalize on the Solemn. That means Thragtusk is going to lose. Oh, wait!
So
Galvanic Blast to help out.
Yeah, Galvanic Blast gonna target the Sun Titan.
No!
And now
Restoration
Restoration
Angel.
Angel from Matthew Bond to save the Sun Titan.
Oh, what a flurry.
This is crazy.
Oh, wow. Okay. Rylund in a little bit of trouble.
He seemed to have a reasonable answer, but Matthew had an answer for the answer.
Nothing that a bonfire can't take care of.
That's true.
Off the top.
Wasn't it just a
Nope.
couple turns ago he bonfired? What happened? Oh, Sun Titan.
Haymaker.
Yeah, that's what haymakers do.
Wellspring. Wellspring to Trading Post, and it's a little slow. It'll get him. He's got a lot of life to work with though, so he can put down the Trading Post, block something with his token, sacrifice it to bring back Worm Coil. Does he have a Worm Coil in there?
The Worm Coil he cast is under that O-ring.
Oh, there it is. That's sad for him. Thragtusk. Hanging on with Thragtusk. $22 life.
All right, Matthew untaps with the entire horde, all the creatures. Sun Titan, Restoration Angel, Blade Splicer, Golem, Golem.
And we get the same double block as before. The same land returning to play for Matthew Bond.
The last double block was
the
a
same.
Solemn
Yeah,
Simulacrum.
the same kind of double block. My bad. Not the exact same block.
All right, so Thragtusk and Beast block Sun Titan. Matthew Bond seems to be short a Restoration Angel this particular time to save that Sun Titan.
I mean, he's still hitting in there for looks like 11 damage.
Probably fine. So that was a Gavany Township activation. So they're counting up the damage. We've got 8, 10, 12, 14. Was that 16? I believe Rylund just got hit for 16. Each golem's 4, that's 8. Plus another 4 from the Blade Splicers, that's 12. Plus another 4 for the Restoration Angel. That's 16. All right, Matthew plays an island, and Rylund's going to go ahead and sacrifice a Wellspring to Phyrexia's Core, draw a card.
Looking for something to change the game here.
Yeah, he's in a rough spot now. Yeah, he was at 22, he took 16. He is down to 6 life. No pristine talismans to help him this game. He is not gaining life at the clip he was last game. 10 minutes left in the round for these guys. Game 1 went about 20 minutes. Game 2 has now almost matched it. And Rylund. Now, there's a trading post. Now, if you're Rylund, he's at 7 now, by the way, off of the Phyrexia's Core. Do you really feel like can you get back into this game, or do you think you're better off just trying to use the last 10 minutes to win a game 3? Because his deck is kind of...
he goes draw 2. He's looking for something.
He's just not finding anything. I mean, I guess the game was over next turn anyway, so he may as well dig as much as he can.
Yep. I mean, what if something changes? If he gets a game changer? Even a Black Sun Zenith, though it wouldn't kill everything, would make the board small enough that you'd be able to survive for another turn.
Yeah, so that was a rough one. I mean, the way we saw Rylund's deck perform in Game 1, he had double Pristine Talisman. He had Worm Coil, which ended up on a Mimic Vat. He had all kinds of life gain. This time, it was a Thragtusk and the, little bit of life gain he got off Phyrexia's Core.
Let's imagine that he had one Pristine Talisman, though. I think he would have actually had probably something like 7 or 8 more life to play with.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it depends on when he got it.
I'm thinking turn 3.
Yeah, okay. No, that's seriously, like, he's got 3 in the main.
Whenever I see 3 Pristine Talisman, I always think to myself, why not 4?
Why did you cut the 4th?
To me, it's a 0 or a 4 card if you're going to run it.
Well, I mean, I see your points, but I'm fine with 3,
I just feel like if you want your deck to do that, then do it, For those of you who are just joining us, Matthew Bond and Rylund Lewis here, Bant Midrange versus Jund Post. If I were to tell you that right now, 5 rounds into the tournament, that these two players were playing to stay in contention for top 8, I don't know that you would have decided that's going to be what's going to happen, but here we are, and it's round 5.
If I would have told you right now that the date is, May 15th, 2010, and we're watching Jund versus Bant, you might believe me. You might believe this is previously recorded, but I guess that's what happens when those shard names stick, right? But I do find it amusing to see this particular matchup. It's not Jund Post versus, Blue-White Delver or something. It's not Bant versus Delver or Red-Green Aggro, but it's actually Jund versus Bant.
One of the things I think is kind of crazy is that if you think about a card like Rock's Warmonk from the old Bant lists, Rock's Warmonk is not a mainstay in Legacy Bant decks, but it exists in Legacy Bant decks. You see it from time to time. And that's kind of incredible that you can have a card have that kind of impact, that it can still actually see play from time to time in Legacy.
I think Wizards has been doing a fantastic job of creating cards recently that have made an impact on the older formats. Snapcaster Mage sees some play in Legacy. We've got Stoneforge Mystic, Batterskull, Jace the Mind Sculptor. I mean, these are all cards that were printed in the last few years in a format, with
totally
very powerful cards. So.
And opening up, we see some Wellspring action.
He does something by doing nothing.
Magic player says, time in the round. Active player proceed to 5 additional turns.
That's
Now
time in the
remember,
round,
That's
but
time in the round.
these
These
guys
players have
extension.
extra time, so they're not done yet. The act of being forced to move around to get under camera, we like to compensate those players by not stealing time off their clock.
Seems reasonable. All right, so Ponder from Matthew and a Glacial Fortress and go. Rylund playing a little quicker. 5.5, about 6 minutes left in this round.
Now,
Plays an Isle Spellbomb, passes back.
Both of these players
Had a
are capable
wellspring.
of winning in the short amount of time that's left, but Matthew Bond is certainly more prepared to be able to win in that short time.
And he proves it by putting down a clock here on turn 3. Rylund, turn 4 here, plays a Ratchet Bomb and passes back, misses his land drop. Or no, okay, yeah, he did miss his land drop. I think he passed back, right?
Yeah, he passes back. We see
Missed his
the
land
dead
drop.
Blade Splicer. A Galvanic Blast took care of it.
And this time Ryan's going to pop the bomb now. So
And
Blade
another Blade
Splicer number
Splicer.
2. All right, Rylund draws off the top, passes back, no fourth land drop, even after using a Wellspring to get a land.
You know, I definitely would have sacked that Spell Bomb just to like draw, hope to get a land.
Yeah, I like that too. And Matthew hitting all his land drops and all his Blade Splicers. Well, all the ones necessary.
And there would have been a land.
And 1, 2, 3, 4 Solemn Simulacrum from Rylund after taking 4 from Blade Splicer and Golem.
The very sad Simulacrum. Solemn obviously is not the same as sad, but when you see the original art, Jens just looks kind of sad in that picture.
Yeah.
Jens, I really apologize for not saying your name properly. I never really met you, so.
So Restoration Angel comes down, blinks Blade Splicer, adds another golem to the board, and Rylund is saying, "Where's my other Ratchet Bomb?"
Okay, and a township too. Jeez. Boom.
Everybody in.
10 damage plus 3, or plus 4 would be 14. Looks like 4 of it's going to be stopped. So we're talking about after that. It's going to be 10 still. What you got? You need to do something exciting here.
And off the top.
Is that an Ancient Grudge?
Couldn't quite see it. Oh, he taps 5, plays a Thrag Tusk.
Thrag Tusk ain't bad. That ain't bad.
That'll help. Plays a land.
That looks like an Ancient Grudge to me.
May very well be. He has 1 in the main deck, none in the board. So that's the main deck, Ancient Grudge.
Here comes everybody.
Yeah, Matthew Bond. All aggro right now.
And he
Thrag
blocks.
Tusk is going to block a
First
golem.
strike takes some stuff. We got the township action going on. That's going to be 5, 8, plus 5. Wow.
13.
13 damage.
That's
Not enough
it.
to survive.
With 3 minutes left, Matthew Bond takes the match with Bant mid-range over Jund Post, piloted by Rylund Lewis. Wow. I mean, that's the first match I think we've watched that's gone the entire round, on the entire time limit.
That's true. This is the entire round.